Welcome to The View from the East, an unofficial Leyton Orient podcast. This is episode 22, Leyton Orient's Wednesday Woes, but Reasons to Believe. My name's Rob Bennett, and I'm joined once again by my slightly older brother, Eddie B. Eddie, how are we doing?
Yeah, hi all. I hope you've all had a good week. Glad the football season's started, Rob. Less said about yesterday, but I'm looking forward to this week's. What topics we got to talk about?
So we've got quite a bit on the agenda. Some of it we can condense quite nicely. On the menu this week, two new signings: Nicholas Oyekunie from Southampton and Alfie Gilchrist from West Brom on loan. We'll also briefly talk about Walsall in the Carabao Cup. Big Phil signing a new contract. We'll do a review of Sheffield Wednesday's 2-1 victory over us on Saturday. Briefly talk about AFC Wimbledon in the EFL Trophy. And then we'll do a preview of Wigan on Saturday to come. Ed, before we get into the menu, we've had a couple of comments back on Spotify this week. So comment from Robster, great show, guys. Really enjoying each episode. He mentioned about Don Ballard. We spoke about him last week. He's really not interested now in what happens with him in future in terms of you won't keep an eye at him. He's more interested in Orient, which I fully agree with. But if he does score 20 goals this season and they end up selling him for 15, 20 million, then we'll take that as well. Ed, this is interesting. This comment from Terry, and this is a mistake I made. Right, I'll read it out to you. Another good episode. One thing though, Ballard went to Bristol City in capitals, not Bristol. Just a little respect. We wouldn't like it if they called us just Leyton. Keep up the good work. Now, Ed, I'll hold my hands up. Even when we were saying that and I'd done the edit, we'd done the record, I realised I'd said Bristol because I thought everyone realised that he was going to Bristol City and he wasn't going with Steve Evans down at Bristol Rovers for 5 million. So that's my mistake. But you did mention Bristol City later in the episode. I hold my hands up. My bad.
Oh, easy mistake to make, Rob, isn't it? Bristol, it's two teams. We presumed everyone knew that he was going to City, but we move on.
Yeah. So once again, Terry, I apologise for that. But I do look forward to our review about our game against Sheffield that happened on Saturday. So, Ed, let's crack on. New signing, let's call him Nick from Southampton on loan, just so I don't have to bully his surname anymore today. He come on loan to us on Monday. Apparently a free-scoring under-21 striker. We've got a very brief scouting report on him, haven't we, through one of your contacts down south. What sort of things have picked up in the scouting report?
Yeah, we've called up, we've only got one or two favours left, Rob, I think, in the old scouting report. We've used them all up this season. Just a couple of quick things. Let's just call him Nick. I think it's a lot easier. He's only 19, centre forward, but can operate on either wing. He's already at England Youth Under 18 cap holder. We'll just quickly go through his strengths that they've written down. Aggressive pressing, intelligent movement off the ball, a natural finisher, and very strong mentality. There's a couple of areas to develop, which you would expect. A 19-year-old is his first loan away from Southampton. Just a physical adaptation. He's only 5'9", so he's not a traditional target man. It's going to be a challenge for him adapting from Premier League 2 football to the physical and relentless nature of the League 1. And with that, hopefully, is going to come consistency against senior defenders. And then one other possible area to improve on will be his link-up play, but I think that's going to come with the more games he plays. But it's good, we always talk about this, but when I look at the overall rating, it's 8 out of 10. So I think it's one that could work, Rob. He's obviously got the pedigree. So it's just giving him that experience now in the men's game when and if needed.
So he's got the pedigree, hasn't he, in let's call it junior football? Would that be? That's a polite way of saying under 21s, isn't it? I know he's made about four or five sub appearances, I think, for Southampton in the Championship as well, which is obviously a good progress. But I guess in this case, although obviously everyone wants him to do well and people are talking a good game and saying he is going to be a good player, where it's a punt on potential, isn't it? That he potentially could be good. but he's untried at senior level, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that Southampton probably do rate him a lot because they have got a callback on him in January. So if things are going well, and we've seen it with other clubs as well, haven't we? That sometimes they get called back and he may get a move into the Championship with another team, let's say, for example, or Southampton may take him back under his reins if he's showing progression between now and Christmas time. So they've obviously thought about this a lot and obviously regard him in, right up there. So, it'd be an interesting one to keep an eye out for, I think.
I know from the scouting report that you sent over earlier to me, he has played a few of the pre-seasons for Southampton and he scored in one of them, I think. So that's a good sign. Southampton do develop good players, don't they, youngsters through their academy. Do you think this is a case of sort of maybe the purse strings have been a bit tight where we haven't pushed players out and we haven't freed up a few pennies? Do you think Richie maybe would have preferred like a 29-year-old, 30-year-old experienced player rather than a 19-year-old unproven, potentially good striker?
I think if we're going to talk about the Sheffield Wednesday game a little bit later, but if you just looked at their forward line, there's experience through the whole front line and some up and coming good players as well. So I think just to have had that experienced player perhaps playing along Caballé or Jazzy K, sometimes we call him, I think that would have helped the whole team. And you're right, perhaps with the other players not leaving, this is probably plan B or plan C. But, we can only hope it's going to turn out well.
Yeah, he's very early days, so I don't really want to give a judgment on him yet. But and I'm sure he'll play on Tuesday as well, hopefully 90 minutes. But he sort of thrown into the bear pit a bit, wasn't he, on Saturday, sort of late on, where he was getting a bit confused about where players were meant to be, what formation we're playing. So, but I just got the impression maybe a bit rabbit in the headlights, but that might just be you're playing against a big team, we're losing. So, what do you do? It is a sort of big step up, isn't it, all of a sudden? But, I'll give it a bit of time before I give a sort of maybe my perspective on it. But, it's sort of a bit, I'd imagine that was quite a big step for him, even coming on as a sub on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's probably only been training with the team for less than a week. And you're right, it takes time, doesn't it, to learn where players are playing off you from and what balls are going to come through. And it is his job at the end of the day to score goals, so he probably was fully aware. He was probably hoping to get on, but perhaps not in the circumstances that he came on.
Yeah. One thing to mention from the scouting report, he is known as Nick, isn't he, Ed?
It's the first thing in the first paragraph. I can see the bloke trying to write his name down. He's just, I'm going to call him Nick. So we'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take that as gospel, and good luck, Nick. Let's hope it goes well Tuesday, and then further on throughout the month and throughout the season. Ed, on Tuesday, this was a signing on loan again that had been reported probably for about 1 or 2 weeks, hadn't it? Alfie Gilchrist is coming on loan from West Brom. He's a former Chelsea academy product who transferred over to West Brom for £2 million. He was also part of the Sheffield United squad on loan at the time that managed to push on to the playoff final when they lost to Sunderland a couple of seasons ago. So he's got quite a good pedigree. Maybe it's just a fact that he needs games and, just to build up the experience in his legs, so to speak.
Yeah, we briefly talked about this last week because his name was, being chucked around the club for a couple of weeks before this actually happened. And you can see he's obviously a different level from Nick. This guy has played in the Premiership a few games and predominantly in the Championship, and obviously got that big move after that good season with Sheffield United on loan. So I think over £2 million, I think West Brom paid for him, and obviously he looks as if he's got two positions, right fullback, but also can play in central defence as well. And perhaps he just didn't play in the right position last year for West Brom. Got to remember, West Brom didn't have a great season last year. They had 3 different managers. So he looks as if he got pushed down a little bit. I think they've got him on a 3 or 4 year deal there. So they don't want him sitting on the bench. They probably want to see if they want him playing games and get his name out again. I'm sure if he has a good season for us, then there's potential for him either to go back to West Brom or get a move off the back of having a good year with the O's. So his strengths, Rob, defensive aggression, Versatility, as we said, he can play in a couple of positions. He's obviously got that leadership skill as well. He's captained a lot of the Chelsea youth team up to the age of 21. And he's got that winning mentality as well, hasn't he, coming through that Chelsea academy as well. Couple of areas for improvement they've written down. It's a similar thing with our defenders. Distribution under pressure. He may come under a lot of that this season. Attacking input and just consistency. But, I think he only played about 10 games last year. So I think it's a positive signing, Rob. He's obviously got a point to prove. And again, we're going to talk about the Sheffield Wednesday game. But when he did come on, I think you can see that he's played at a higher level a little bit. He had a little bit more time on the ball. And interesting when we go to the end, the marks out of 10, which we always sort of take seriously, it was 8.5 out of 10. So it looks as if this is one that Richie did really want, and he's got it. So it looks a positive move for the O's for this season.
Yeah, I mean, there's good signs though, isn't there? I think I'd imagine West Brom have sent him to us because they expect us to be quite a good team this year. They wouldn't want to send him to a team struggling. Touch wood, we're not going to for the remainder of the season. And we've got a good squad there on paper to maybe push for top 10, top 8. So that's good signs. I've read on that report, apparently he plays well in a sort of 3 at the back system. So if we do go, like on Saturday for a period where it's like 3 at the back or 5 at the back, if you want to call it that, then that would be handy, wouldn't it? I presume he's come in, one, to cover for Forrester, but also I don't think Richie wants Big Phil playing every game, does he?
I think that makes sense. I think we always knew we needed 4 centre-backs. And the 2 centre-backs we've got in this summer have both got experience and some games under their belt. And with both of them, actually, they've both got a point to prove. From their previous club, Stockport, and obviously Gilchrist has got a point to prove to West Brom. So we've always wanted 4 centre-backs. We've got 4 centre-backs now. So I'm happy in that position for the moment anyway.
Okay. Ed, we'll move on briefly. On Monday, to everyone's disappointment, the Carabao Cup draw was done. Southern half for us, obviously. We picked out Walsall. What a disappointment.
Oh, well, I presume, like most Leyton Orient fans, you were probably expecting, because Chelsea were in this, weren't they? West Ham we could have got, Spurs. So we're all sort of like hoping for a home or away game against one of those. And I didn't even know Walsall was still in it, Rob, or even in the southern section. So, look, there's 2 ways of looking at this. Is it a good way of potentially getting into the third round and then getting a bigger club where you get the European teams come in the third round, don't they? Or do we? I think we've got to go to win it. I think we're going to play our strongest team. They're going to play their strongest team. Everyone wants to get through. But we've probably got more chance against Walsall than a West Ham, a Chelsea or a Spurs.
Yeah. I mean, it's chance, isn't it? I mean, as you said, if you take it seriously, which I'm sure they will, then there's a chance to get all manner of clubs in that third round. But also, if you're someone who's maybe playing on the bench at the moment or pushing to get in the squad, get the opportunity, you've got to take it, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's a cup game at the end. There's a money pot, isn't there? So the further we can get on in this competition, you're going to get more coverage. So I think we should go for it, which I'm sure they will.
I mean, it's also second round's before the end of this month, isn't it? It's the 26th of August. Let me check that before I tie myself in knots. But yeah, so we're kicking through that cup competition early, so we could be playing Man United in September.
Yeah, and look, we all probably watched that game. Was it Grimsby, Man United last year? And I think it was the third round, full house, live on TV. So there's money to be made if you can get through to the third round and get one of these bigger teams.
Yeah, to confirm, it's Tuesday the 25th. So, not long. Next week, in fact. So they're pushing that cup out, aren't they, nice and early. Ed, later in the week, I think it was on Friday, while Richie was being interviewed about his pre-game comments for Sheffield Wednesday, they confirmed that Big Phil has signed a new contract. I think it's a 3 or 4 year deal. He's 19, isn't he, at the moment? So we'll take him through to 22, 23. Good signs, Ed. There's a few articles, weren't there, knocking about other clubs sniffing around him for what I would call a low price of about 100 grand. It's worth keeping him on board, isn't it, for a while, seeing how they can develop him?
Yeah, I would have thought so. You want him under your wing and keep an eye on him. I mean, whether it means he potentially does go on loan again this season, or we stick with him and he can sort of like rattle up sort of like between 10 to 15 games, which I think they probably will do. But yeah, I mean, we just sort of discussed this last week. A few years ago, if someone came in for 200 grand for one of our players, we would have snapped their hands off and they would have been out the door as soon as you could. The ink was dry on the contract. So it's good that they're looking at some of that, and it's good he's a player who's come through the youth academy as well. I think it's always good to have one or two of those in the team. So I imagine his money's gone up a little bit. He's got a bit more security, and hopefully his career can progress and improve over the contract.
It was interesting that obviously Richie said there are many areas where he needs to improve. Timekeeping, by the sound of it, getting to training, etc. But also the game-wise, obviously, the more games you play, the better potential he's going to get, isn't he? Experienced all sorts of situations, etc. But what Richie did say, that physically he's a Premiership player in terms of stature, in terms of size. He's athletic, isn't he, for a big man? He's got a turn of pace about him. I suppose it's just having a nous of when to use that, and also those game situations, just playing those minutes, being put in those areas of difficulty, I guess, and pressure, which he did find on Saturday. We'll get to that in a minute. But all round, I'd rather that I'm pleased he signed this contract rather than as diver, and then hopefully he signs a contract later in the year when potentially he's only got sort of 6 months left on it.
Yeah, because I think that's probably what would have happened if he does have a good half a season come January. If he's only got 1 year left of his deal, someone's just going to just take him away for next to nothing. So locking him down, at least if his career does progress, as Richie seems to think it may possibly could do, you want these sort of players under contract for the next 2 or 3 years, and if a big club does come in for him, there's obviously a price.
Yeah. Ed, let's go on to, I suppose, the main event of the week. Sheffield Wednesday at home. First, I know we played Oxford, but first, should we call it real home game of the season? I didn't mean to disrespect the Carabao Cup, but it's true, isn't it? The first league game of the season is always a big one, especially your home game. You couldn't ask for better opposition. Sheffield Wednesday coming down to our league for, I think, the first time in about 4 years. But yeah, big opposition, big away fan base.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I mean, you're right. In I think you'd rather be playing a team like Sheffield Wednesday first game of the season than a team lower down the league or a less well supported team. It just gives the ground a lot more atmosphere, doesn't it? Having a good away presence. And you could see Sheffield Wednesday fans, or we met up at 12 o'clock, Rob, didn't we? But we could see Sheffield Wednesday fans around Stratford looking lost. So you could sense that it was going to be a cracking atmosphere. So, I'm glad the season started. And we'll come on to the game. We met up beforehand, Rob, didn't we? We went to the East Tap region behind the back of... I've completely forgotten it, Rob.
Back of the Copper Box. It's a place called, you had to do a bit of shopping, didn't you, for a wedding coming up?
Yeah.
So we went to the Hackney Bridge, which is behind the Copper Box. So you imagine it's like a box park, but open. So there's like vendors for food, Filipino barbecue, burgers, pizza, all sorts. Big outdoor space. We went there last year, cracking. It got the football on. We thought we'd try it in the sun this year. Get there, Ed. What happened? No football.
Absolutely no one there. And the big screens weren't on either. There was a few hipsters, and then we joined them. So we had a quick one there, and then we just thought we were going to head off to the fan zone. But we thought we'd walk just to see how long it would take us. So it took us about 20 minutes, but we did actually walk past the hockey stadium. I know there's been talk about hockey stadium could be one of the places where the new ground could move to. It needs a lot of TLC there. It's quite a big area, but it just needs a lot of TLC. It looks as if it's crumbling around the edges. So, but I would say from the hockey stadium, Rob, to the fan zone probably took us, 10, 15-minute walk?
Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, I walk back from the ground to Stratford every home game. That takes me about 20 minutes. That hockey stadium, you know what it needs? Knocking down, new football stadium, put on top of it. There's it's sunken, isn't it? So it's an amphitheatre, basically. So if they did build a stadium there, which is the rumour, then it would be potentially from the eye at the same level as, say, Spitalfields or even the Velodrome. It wouldn't be any higher than that, would it? And it's already got, as I said, a lot of space around it in terms of you're not going to be restricted if they did build there. But it'll be the same for Spitalfields if they go over the road there. Sort of perfect. You couldn't get much closer to Brisbane Road in terms of fans worrying about going elsewhere in the borough. It would be a perfect location, but I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, announce it as soon as you can. Crack on building something. But yeah, I mean, from there, it's 10 minutes to Brisbane Road, isn't it? You can't go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and then we got to the fan zone, Rob. What were your views on the fan zone yesterday?
I loved the fan zone. Bloody hot, wasn't it? Because the sun was right on that. There was no shade whatsoever. Nice food on offer. You got nice vegetarian sort of stuff, didn't you, from the Chinese food vendor? I tried one of the burgers. They was okay. I did have a worry, Ed. Do you want to know what my worry was?
What was your worry, Rob?
Well, last year when we done it, again, it was a nice vibe. Wasn't it? A load of Orient fans there. We seem to be this week outnumbered by Sheffield Wednesday fans. I didn't know it was an invite for everyone. I just thought it was an Orient fan zone.
Yeah, it did make it a little bit uneasy. I presume Sheffield Wednesday fans have been coming down all day, and I suppose as soon as one or two of them had realised there was a fan zone and they got in without any issue, they were just phoning up their mates who was getting off at Leyton station, walking through Coronation Gardens and heading straight to the fan zone. So we stayed for about 45 minutes to an hour, and by the time we left I would say it was probably half and half. Yeah, so I suppose not well, obviously there was no trouble, we was there, but if it's called a Leyton Orient fan zone, you want it to be full of Leyton Orient fans, not half the away team, because once that gets out, then everyone will be saying, oh, where should we go for the game? Well, you can go to Leyton Orient fan zone. There's a bar there and some food. It's brilliant. Might be something they need to look at. Yeah,
definitely. I was worried when we got to the bar and was being served a gentleman in front of us. Pint of lager, please, mate. And it was, that's £6 then, mate. And he goes, I asked for a pint, not a round. And he just weren't used to London prices. So, that's something to got to worry about as well, isn't it? All these Sheffield Wednesday fans coming down, they think they can get around for a £5.
Yeah, but it just, but I'm sure that'll be something they can look at. I mean, there might have been a bloke in a high-vis jacket, sort of like looking at people coming through, but he wasn't stopping anyone in a Sheffield Wednesday top. It's a personal choice. A Leyton Orient fan zone, I would presume, would be for Leyton Orient fans, but how you stop that happening, I'm not sure.
It's right though. I'm not saying it ever will, but should something happen, you need more than 2 security people there just in case. That would be mine, and a bit of sort of plastic taping, trying to sort of keep people out of the beer garden, if you want to call it that, isn't really going to stop people if they're desperate to get hold of each other, is it? So, just something, as you said, something they might want to keep an eye on, but at least on Saturday it was okay. We eventually got to the east of the stand. First thing we were able to look at was the new art installation they put up during the summer to commemorate those that we lost in the Somme. And it also basically just shows off the new Maber away kit, doesn't it? The white kit.
That's some quality artwork there. It's really pitched it, and it really pitched it nice. It does actually look nice just as you come up those steps there to the ground. So, might be something I know we're not going to be there for very long, fingers crossed, but it might be something they carry on doing until we go. Just to give it a little bit of something else under that stand. But no, really impressed with that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll put that on the tour of the ground, wouldn't they? We done it, and there wasn't really anything over on the east side. But if they can add that, and then Justin Edinburgh Memorial in the West Stand, then that's good, isn't it, on the tour?
Yeah, exactly. I suppose in any tour you've got to add a couple of new bits every year, haven't you? Otherwise, people will stop coming. So yeah, I'm sure that will be part of it going forward. A little bit surprised there, Rob. We do like the East Tap Bar, don't we?
We do.
Obviously been away from there for about 3 or 4 months too. So to our utter disgust, when we turned up to get 2 pints of lager, the bloke behind said, "No lager, mate. The pumps are off. You have to go down to the other venue." So they lost my money, and we had to go and queue up with the rest of the other people. But yeah, a little bit shocked. Wasn't a great start.
The gentleman in question didn't quite put it like that. And it wasn't the normal bar staff, because we know they'll be at music venues. They always tell us, don't they? During the early part of the season, you'll never see us. But the gentleman, in fact, said, do you want lager, mate? You said yes. And he goes, the pump's fucked. You better go off over there. So, he wasn't rude with it, but, the use of language maybe could have been a bit different. But we took his advice, didn't we, when we tried the other bar. Now, Ed, it must be said, due to circumstances beyond your control, you are slightly changing your drinking habits during match day this year. So, in effect, you are basically our non-alcoholic lager expert for this season. Your choice of non-alcoholic lager served in the East Stand?
I was a little bit shocked, Rob. There was none. Well, there was lemonade or Coke. So I was sort of like hoping for, it's 2026 now. You got to have a bit of alternative drinks, but there was none, Rob. So another lemonade for me. It's a lifestyle choice, Rob.
Well, it's a life choice, isn't it?
But Devlin's open to new stuff. If he thinks there's a big call for non-alcoholic lagers in the East Stand, I'm sure it's sorted out for us.
On my list of things to do, again, it says email Mark Devlin. So we'll send something off to him. I know it sounds really silly and pedantic, but I'm not a fizzy drinker. I don't really like Coke or lemonade. Doing a shandy, I'd imagine for the staff there's a faff, so they don't want to do that. If you do want to drink non-alcoholic, but you just fancy a taste of lager, then there should be an option there, shouldn't it? Even if they've got cans of Guinness Zero, or whatever it's called, then there should be an option, shouldn't there, if you want something like that?
Yeah, you would have thought it would have been commonplace now, but hey ho, there was nothing there. We move on. So we went up the steps, Rob, didn't we? Took our seats early. We probably got there about half an hour before the kickoff, didn't we? And we played our usual game. Our usual game is just this. We call it. I don't know. We call it bingo. We just like to make sure that, because don't forget, we do sit around some elderly people. So we just like to tick names off as people are coming up the steps, just to make sure that they're all back for next season. And it was a full house, Rob, wasn't it? Everyone was there.
Yeah, it's worth confirming that full house means that everyone turned up. Not that everyone wasn't there, so to speak. But yeah, it's good to see regular faces, shake hands with people we haven't seen for, 3 or 4 months. Everyone's got the same hopes, haven't they? And probably the same Orient, how would you call it? Worry of how the season potentially going to turn out. Sometimes not the most optimistic set of fans over there in the East Stand. But it's just nice. Sometimes it feels like a comfy pair of shoes, doesn't it, or slippers. You just go back to your normal setting. Everyone's happy for kick-off to finally get going on this league. And as I said before, you couldn't ask for a bigger game. Sheffield Wednesday banged out their side, didn't they? But what were impressions of the first half, Ed?
Well, I thought it was a bit of 50-50 first half. I think they probably started a little bit better than us, looked a little bit more assured of what they were actually doing. There was a few nice passages by us. I think Oyekunie had a good chance. I think he got put through, didn't he, in perhaps the first 15-20 minutes, and just skied the ball over the net. So it looked as if it was quite sort of very, very tight, sort of like for the first 20 minutes until that back pass. That's not going to happen at all for the rest of the season. It was one of Baxter's first ever kicks of the ball in Leyton Orient kit, and it goes off the backside of one of the Sheffield Wednesday forwards, and then the ball goes in the back of the net. You think, oh, here we go again. But yeah, I thought it would. But yeah.
Well, it's worth noting, we mentioned this last week about how many starters against Oxford from last season. So I'll ask you the question again. So from the squad that we started the season at home against Wigan last year, so your first 18, including subs, how many were part of the squad for Saturday's game?
Good question. I like these. Mitchell was Mitchell in the squad against Wigan? I'm going to go one. I'm going to go 3 from the squad.
No, Lower than a 3. Only one player, Ed, from the squad from Wigan game last year at home. It just shows, again, how much has been done. El Miz was the player. He started against Wigan. He is the only person from those two squads who matches up.
Wow.
It's amazing. That is amazing.
It shows you that, and it shows you how, it's going to, I don't think you can really comment too much on how our season's going to progress till you're at least half a dozen games in, because that's you're right, complete new squad, isn't it? You can't expect massive changes like that to gel within the first 2 or 3 games.
Yeah. Interested. So those before the goal, Sheffield Wednesday were really vocal, weren't they, for the first 10, 15 minutes? Was it close to, 1,200 of them fit in that end? All of them as loud as you want, none of them sitting down. That safe standing lot, don't even bother in that away end. If you've got a big team like Sheffield Wednesday, they'll stand up for 24 hours giving it a go, wouldn't they, supporting their team. But I thought just when we'd quieted them down and we was on the front foot, weren't we, in that first half, then there's that unfortunate thing. Big Phil's passed it back, isn't he, with his right foot to Baxter. I know Richie said he could have put it into Rose head if on his left foot if he'd thought about it a bit more. But then Baxter, I'd imagine if he'd done that 100 times and hit that striker's arse, then it's going anywhere but the goal. But it's just our luck, isn't it? It just went straight in.
Yeah, we can only hope that's his comical error out of the way this season. But I did sit there just while that ball went in the back of the net, and I thought, bloody hell, for the last 4 seasons, we've had new goalkeepers and something catastrophe's gone wrong. And they've all, the curse has happened again. But, we after that, though, Rob, I think they did sort of come back in the game a little bit more, didn't they?
At Lords, where they have the honours board for 5 wickets and centuries. I wonder if they're going to develop like an honours board of shame for goalkeepers their first home game. So you'd have Halsey, Zach Hemming, Simpkin. He had a blinder, didn't he? His first bloody home game. He made a mistake. And now you can have Baxter. And Baxter's the best goalkeeper of them all. He made some outstanding saves later on, which we'll get on to. But yeah, put up a nice honours board, Ed. We can have a photo taken with that next time we do the stadium tour. Another idea for the Leyton Orient to take on. It's a good idea. Ed, as I said, he could try that 100 times, and I don't think that would happen again. But then you got a fair play to the striker or midfield player for closing him down. He's gambled, isn't he? And it's paid off for them.
Yeah, I think if you looked at them attacking the goalkeeper, even if it hadn't have gone in, there was another 2 forwards running who probably would have slotted the ball in the back of the net anyway. So, look, it's one of those things that's going to happen once during the season. Unfortunately, it happened in his league debut in the first sort of 20 minutes. And then, hopefully that's at his system now.
Yeah. But after that, we come on strong again, didn't we? Leading up to the goal, when did we score? 6 minutes later, 7 minutes later, something like that, on 26 minutes.
So I think like some of the passage play, they were after that, but slightly prior to that as well, was sort of good into linking passing, getting forward. Obviously I know Youssef on the right hand side is predominantly left sided. I think he was tearing their left back to pieces. He got in a few times, and he thought. And actually looking at him again, he's a big unit as well. So we was coming back into the game, and obviously we got that drop ball scenario, didn't we? That led to the goal.
Yeah, that worked out really well, didn't it? So their player went down, didn't he? So that stopped the game. All of a sudden, there's a hydration break, which I didn't know we was having then, but then some stato behind me said it's when it gets over 25 degrees, they've got to have a hydration break. Okay, mate. I'd rather them just crack on. But whether then the coaching staff have been able to get into them, that if it's drop ball, just get it in straight away, not back pass it to the goalkeeper like we probably would have done last year, like nice and friendly, just get it straight over. And when you watch that again, Ed, Finn Stevens, you imagine like you're slightly cold, didn't you, when you've had a break and then like you're waiting for action to start again. One touch, Ed, that's a beautiful cross he's put over there. Outstanding.
Yeah. I think that also you got a Kabaya or Jazzy K, as you want to call him. He had a good knockdown as well. And then obviously was slid in the back of the net by Alumo.
Do you reckon that knockdown or is he going for goal? When I've watched it, I think he's going for goal, like putting it down in the bottom right-hand corner. Obviously, it's not gone that way, and it's gone into Oluwu's path. But then I thought with Joseph, then he's been good there because he's anticipated that if he doesn't get hold of it, if I'm in that area, then there's a potential that I'm going to be able to tap it in, which worked out, which was a good goal in the end. But I've got a feeling Kabir was trying to get that into the net himself.
Yeah, but I think when we signed that Oluwu as well, I think he comes with sort of like 4 or 5 goals a season as well, and perhaps that was one of a type of goal that we wasn't expecting from him, but put it away quite calmly in the end, didn't he? But he probably was going for goal, Rob, wasn't it? And it's obviously just, but it's flicked down into his path. 1-1, you think, brilliant back in the game. And I thought for the rest of the half, it was, again, we was probably more in control. Looked as if we upped the tempo a little bit, and then get sort of going into half time. You thought perhaps we've got a chance of nicking all 3 points in the second half.
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, Aymeric on the right was playing really well, wasn't he? If he got more confidence in his right foot, Ed, then he could be a really good player at a very high level. He'd done some action with his right foot, done a couple of crosses, but he's predominantly left-footed, isn't he? He would probably do that all day long, given the chance. I thought Dobra as well, he is like a moth to the flame for defenders or midfield players. He gets put down probably about 5 to 10 times a game, but he attracts players. There was 2 on him all the time and he's got more tricks than Paul Daniels. So he's so the ball's almost glued to his foot. So yeah, he's always going to create something, isn't he? Unfortunately, on Saturday, he was up against very good opposition, and maybe some of his tricks didn't come off as he would have liked, but going forward, there's so many options there.
Yeah, I know. He was really impressed because he did get hacked down about 2 or 3 times in the first half, and I think it was right near the end of the first half. It was on the opposite side to us, wasn't it? So it would have been the Justin Nuber stand, but he looked as if he went past about 3 or 4 players, just dinking the ball over them, and I think he got taken out again after that as well. So I think there's a lot to come from him. I think he's going to bring us some exciting times this season.
Yeah, something I've just picked up on there, looking at the BBC app. So I noticed it, and I've mentioned this before on the pod. I think we're only playing now one midfield player in front of the back 4, which is Hayden. So even on the BBC app, as I said, they've put us down as 4-1-4-1. And when you look at it, it looked like we are just playing that diamond now in the middle, which maybe that was our undoing coming into the second half. But even Hayden was having like pop shots. Goal, he was sort of really confident in going forward, but definitely I'm really impressed with us going forward. But now I've seen that, I can understand at some stage then have we got the capacity to drop back into a 2 in front of that back 4, because there are going to be times you come up against teams like Sheffield Wednesday or Leicester, or especially when we're away, then it's a bit...
There's a big gap there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit gun-ho just have one in front, I think. But maybe that's what Richie wants to develop. Maybe that's how Berio gets in the side. I don't know. Yeah,
no. I think you're right. I think he'll carry on playing this. It's like anything, isn't it? I suppose you've got ways you want the team to play, and if the results go against you after about 3 or 4 games, then you go back to tight, don't you? But I think he'll persist with this for the first, 3 or 4 games and see how it goes.
Okay. And I think that first half, I'd probably put, if it was a boxing match, I'd put us ahead on points.
Yeah, I think we probably had the better chances, and the only real chances I can think that they had was the one that went off the striker's arse. So I was quite, as I said, I was confident going into the second half.
Yeah. Going into the second half, again, Richie, when you listen to Richie's post-match comments, they seem quite confident that they could at least hold the result as it was, or maybe push forward for a win. It didn't turn out like that, did it? I don't know, were they a bit flat second half? Was the weather taking its toll on them? I don't know. It's very hot, wasn't it?
I don't know. Up until that, sort of like perhaps 10 minutes into the second half, obviously Elmuzuni hit the post with a cracking sort of like half volley, and it only just, when you look at it from the angle from behind, only a couple of inches the other way, and going up 2-1, then perhaps we would have changed the format of the team and tried to hold on. But I wonder whether that was their best chance that escaped them. And then obviously Sheffield Wednesday, have got their new strikers they can bring on, a stronger bench probably. And it looked as if we ran out of gas a little bit. I think there was obviously, I think the biggest thing probably was when Boniface came off. We haven't mentioned him, Rob. I think he played okay for his debut in the league. And I think when he came off, it sort of changed the whole dynamics. And then obviously we know what happened after that.
Yeah. Do we talk about the Morris cameo now?
Well, if you don't talk about it, people are saying, why didn't you talk about it? Right. We discussed this before we went on. We did the pod today. We wondered whether perhaps Morris was a little bit cold. Probably, perhaps he wasn't expecting to come on. But it was like a rabbit in headlights, Rob, wasn't it? Everything he seemed to touch turned to you know what. And then in that 12-minute cameo, he got outdone about 3 or 4 times, gave away a penalty. I think it was the right decision to take him off after 12 minutes because it would have been tough to come back after that.
Yeah, I mean. He has been a good player for us, hasn't he? Last year when he come in, the January transfer window, done well, scored a couple of goals.
Yeah, I think even like last week when he came on for Boniface, he played really well. I thought it's just perhaps it's like one of those things. One thing goes wrong and everything he touched, and you can see that just before he came off that back header, when he let the ball bounce and he's got 2 attackers are running after him, and he's done a half-hearted header. It was never going to reach the goalkeeper, and he was just so lucky that Bannon sort of like, from an open goal hit the side netting.
Yeah, we'll come back to that bit in a minute. That thing about Ed not being, maybe he was cold and not ready to come on, I suppose as a professional manager would say, or any support would say, be ready to come on at any time. So even if it's an injury in the first minute, you've got to be prepared to come on, haven't you? So the one thing I did think, did he come on just as the eye of the storm was getting a bit rough in terms of Sheffield Wednesday were pushing on, weren't they? I think they'd changed formation and brought Leyton as well. To create a bit more havoc. But so maybe that was part of it. There was a big save for Baxter across the goal just before the penalty. And when I've looked back on the highlights, it was Morris who got caught out before the ball got put over. As you said, for the penalty, where we were in the east side, it was difficult. We couldn't see directly what had happened. It just, has the ref made a mistake? Is it sort of someone, I don't know, handballed it? You know what I mean? The ball bobbled up or something. But then when you watch on the highlights, basically Morris is pulling his shirt, isn't he? And if you're the forward, you go backwards and fall over, aren't you? You might as well try and get something out of the ref, or at least make him make a decision on it.
Yeah, I was sort of like, we knew he hadn't had a great game, and just said from where we sit, he was a bit unsure. We actually gave the penalty away. It was only when I got back, I thought, poor sod, all this has gone. And then I realised he was the guy who gave the penalty away as well. So any defender, if you tug their shirt, is going to fall to the ground, aren't they? And I think there was even a chance to get a challenge in there. I know he could have fallen out, but But look, I think it's happened.
After that, it was one of those where probably everyone in the ground knew whenever the ball went to him, there was that sense of dread, wasn't there, that something's going to happen. I suppose as a player, you feel that with it. I suppose I've been to work sometimes, Ed, as a teacher, I just don't feel it, or I know I've had a bad day, but then I don't get subbed off after 12 minutes and sent home. You're in the face of 9,000 people all looking at you. That one for the Barry Banham. So there's no one within 15 yards of him. He's tried to head a ball with power when basically he's got no momentum to be able to do that. He could have either, I suppose, tried to...
He could have hooked it away.
Yeah, he could have hooked it away, or just, like when you almost like stand over the ball and just wait for the momentum of the attacking player to take you down. Like he's shielding it. He could have tried that.
Yeah.
Obviously, he headed the ball, about 10 yards where he needed to go about 40. The godsend of it is that Baxter's come out. He didn't take down Barry Banham, because then he could have been sent off, this, that and the other. So he had a bit of nous about him not to take him down, because we didn't have a spare goalkeeper on the bench. So we didn't have anyone there if Baxter had been taken out. But then good old Barry Banham, apparently he's the best player in the league. He missed, from 10 yards?
10 yards open goal. That would have just like rounded Sheffield Wednesday's day off, wouldn't it, if he'd scored as well? And that would have. But we know Richie made another 3 substitutions, didn't he? as we started to chase the game. Again, Rob, and then it sort of calmed down a little bit. But I think obviously Sheffield Wednesday are more experienced than us. And they're right, they're better at killing the game than we are. We never kill a game, do we? Not as good as they showed. They were just pigging everything into the left back side and just, getting little throw-ons, corner kicks, just wasting time. But yeah, I feel sorry for the guy. It's happened, and hopefully, a bit like Baxter, hopefully that's his bad piece of the season out of the way. Hopefully, unfortunately, it was in the first game, one of the biggest attendances we're going to get at home this year. Just another thing, Rob. I think, and I've seen it for a numerous year. Every time we seem to play a big team, and I'm going to call Sheffield Wednesday a big team with big. Bringing a big away crowd, our players seem to crumble. I don't know what it is. Yeah. It's like it's expectation. It gets to him in the end. We start off really well, and then we have those 10, 20 minutes we just crumble, and then we just get overrun. I don't know what it is. But that's happened for numerous years. Every time we sort of play a bigger team, we seem to crumble.
Yeah, even in patches going back, if you remember back to say Birmingham when we played them at home, you can say do it for. Orient will play really well for, I don't know, a period of 45, 50 minutes or so. But then it's like, oh, bloody hell, we've got to do this for another 40 minutes. And it's that, like you said, experience. But yeah, we've got to see this all the way through. We can't just do it in patches or, have a period where we're controlling it for 20 minutes. You've got to be able to do it for the whole 90. Even if that means I would have quite happily walked away with a draw on Saturday. That would have been a good result, I think. But yeah. They'll be disappointed. I think Rich is disappointed, isn't he? The fact that both goals, the penalty included, come from mistakes, haven't they? And in a lot of their chances after that, again, he highlighted it, were just mistakes being made by us, not them necessarily opening us up with a load of skill.
Yeah, I think another thing perhaps needs to sort out. I mean, Richie was upstairs and he was down, and he sort of said he missed the penalty, didn't he? Because he was travelling downstairs. I mean, you got to sort. I think generally you got to either stay in one position. You don't want the manager travelling up and down those flights of stairs, do you? Missing moments of the game. I just didn't get that when he sort of he was ready to make 3 substitutions, but then the goal went in, and I didn't quite catch that. Understand it. That's more to the point.
Yeah, I had to leave slightly early, didn't I? Because it was 9 minutes extra time. I had to get my train. I had Corey with me as well. He hates to walk in, so I thought I'd better give myself some time. Big Phil, he done a run through to the box and then got taken down. Was that a penalty? It looked like one to me when I was seeing it on the highlights.
I think from where we were sitting, because obviously you can only see one angle, it looks as if he did get clipped, but there didn't seem that much. I think everyone's hoping for everything, can't they? But again, that showed a different side of him. We got the ball in the halfway line, took it past about 3 or 4 players and run into the box, which creates another chance. I mean, if he could have cut the ball in, then perhaps there could have been someone running in on it. But that shows another side of him, but we only saw once yesterday. Because as I said, he's a big man. No one's going to try and challenge him, or if they do, they're probably going to come a cropper. I think that you did miss one of the best chance at the end though, Rob, when we realised that Gilchrist had an enormous long throw. Who knew that? It's like another weapon. Obviously, the ball flicked over and Dobra. He did miss an open goal. He put it to the other side of the post. But that was probably our best chance.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I was going to say that was our best chance of the second half.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we'll go on to Richie's comments very briefly in a minute. But from my point of view, I thought there were some good performances there. You might want to pick out a couple as well. I thought Baxter recovered well. He made about 3 or 4 big saves there, especially in that second half. When they was coming on a bit, I thought Finn Stevens was really good at right back. And you know what I like about that? When he's playing at home, he's always going to be up against away fans, isn't he? When he's playing towards the north stand, but I really don't think he gives a you know what about them having a go at him. He seemed quite thick-skinned. He likes to pull it about a bit. I saw some comments of Sheffield Wednesday calling us dirty Leyton Orient. I'd imagine he'd be in the mix with that because he's a man. Well, let's call him Psycho. We said it last week. Psycho Stevens, isn't he? I really like him. I think he's a really good player, and that touch of skill, as we said earlier, for the cross for the goal, I thought that was really good. I thought Dobra, as I said, load of tricks, really good. Amarich, as we said earlier, he's the size of him. Ed. What is he? 6'1", he's going to be
It
difficult
must
for
be, yeah.
some. Yeah, he's going to be difficult for some defenders to handle. Cabia, first game, he's not really trained a lot with the team, is he? So first start, not that he's under pressure, but he's probably trying very hard. But it'll come, won't it? He's just got to let it come to him.
You got to bear in mind he's probably playing up against Championship centre back partnership there, wasn't he? And I think he tried to put himself. He looks as if he will put himself about a little bit. He's just looking for those snippets, when the defender sort of like miskicks a ball as he's running off. But we didn't really give him any opportunities to do that yesterday, and that may be because Sheffield Wednesday played really well. We keep on saying that perhaps Sheffield Wednesday did play well. But can't really comment on. Didn't see too much from him yesterday, Rob, did we?
Anyone else said you thought had a good game, or pretty much the same as me?
Yeah, I think Hayden looked a little bit comfortable, but he looks as if he was trying to calm the game down. I think that worked for, say, like the first 50 minutes. But then when you really did need him to come in to his fore in that sort of 20-minute period, I didn't really see too much of him. So we just looked as if he got overrun. And when we can see it happening, sure you can see it on the pitch as well. It's just when you need a calm head just to kick the ball off or just calm the game down. Just tell the players to sort of like relax a little bit. And stopping, all Sheffield Wednesday was doing, I said, was just going to our left back and just dominating that area. And I think that's where a lot of their opportunities came from.
Yeah. We'll mention briefly Richie's comments after the game. The one thing I noticed straight away, he was very calm about it. I don't know whether that's because of obviously what happened at the end of last season, whether he's not been told, but he's realised maybe take a few deep breaths, give me a couple of extra minutes before you talk to me, or was it that we've been up against a very good team today? We'll just take it. I'll take a 2-1 loss to Sheffield Wednesday. I'd have been more upset if it had been Cambridge, someone like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, as he said, I think actually on the Friday before the game, didn't he say if you come above Sheffield Wednesday, chances are you're probably going to get promoted. So I think they're going to be one of the strongest teams. And I think, Rob, it was a massive game for them after what happened last season. And you could tell that from the fans' reaction after the game as well. You missed it, but it was like they'd won the championship. A lot of fist pumps from all players and coaching staff. So I think it was a big game, a big win for those guys.
Okay. Just briefly, very briefly, we've got AFC Wimbledon EFL Trophy on Tuesday, 7:00 kickoff, if you are going. Completely different team. Morris, I presume, starts. They might have to put Big Phil in centre back, so we haven't got that many options.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be a big turnaround, Rob, isn't it? I think you'll probably get Nick playing up front as well, just to give a few of the fringe players a game who perhaps didn't get in the squad on Saturday. Yeah. Obviously, you want to win. And we should go for it this year. For the last 3 or 4 years, I never understand why we haven't played our strongest teams in this competition, because at the end of the day, it's a Wembley final, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the further you can get in it, a little bit more money, a little bit more coverage. So, yeah, I really hope they do give it a go this year.
Okay. And finally going on, we've got Wigan away on Saturday. Wigan ended up at a 3-2 defeat at Cambridge. They were 3-0 down at one stage and come back to 3-2. Your favourite, Sonny Perkins, Ed, on the score sheet?
Off the mark. 1 game, 1 goal. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the goals, Ed. He's done his best to miss it. But, he did pull it at the back of the net. What are your thoughts? Well, I've looked at the stats. Ed, let me give you a couple of stats. I know you love a stat. We've only lost since we've been back in League One. We've only lost to them once. That was in our first season back. That was when Gal Brayford got sent off for 2 yellows, I think, in that game, and then was down to 10 men. Only beat us 1-0 though. Apart from that, 1 loss. They've not scored against us in the last 4 games. 0-0 away last year. I think they're in a bit of, when you look at the fan base, already they're moaning about someone like Perkins, about him leading the line. That might have changed now that he's managed to put one in the back of the net. But are you confident of maybe more than 1 point on Saturday?
Well, I think before Saturday, so I was sort of like hoping we may get a point. But I think if we can win, that sort of like takes a lot of the disappointment from yesterday away. So I think if we can play the same team, the same format, I don't Trying to think if anyone could force himself into the starting 11. Not too sure what's up with Theo, but it looks as if he's going to be out for a little while. I'm confident if they played the same starting 11 again, we played with the sort of passion we did in the first half, that we may be able to get a result. And just hope they don't, they're a little bit more. It looks as if they run out of puff as well after 60 minutes. So hopefully it arrests some of the bigger players on Tuesday. Some of them. And it's another week on the training field, isn't it? So another week to get used to each other. So, I mean, I'd like a win. I'm not 100% confident.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be a big turnout, wouldn't it? First game of the season for Wigan at home. I've got a feeling with Orient, if like once a season, you absolutely trounce someone early part of the season. Like if, Dobra gets a goal, Americ gets on as one of those games where everything goes well. This could be one of those games, if we're lucky. I'm going to go 3-0 Orient.
Oh, confident. I like it. I mean, you could be right. If we could get an early goal and get and quieten the crowd down, we've got the attacking players to get that second and third. It's just sort of, minimising the mistakes that we saw on Saturday. I mean, if we can get on top of that a little bit, I mean, I hope you're right. 3-0.
You got a prediction?
1-0.
Oh, sit on the fence. Okay.
I think I'll still take a point away. I think a point away. I mean, I really want them to win 3. You're right. It's their first game at home. They're going to be pumped up, aren't they? It'd just be interesting what happens on the training field this week, I suppose.
Yeah. Think we might get someone in this week, or they're looking for anyone else?
I think he still wants one more, and if he keeps on saying that, it probably means they are sort of like near there. I suppose we've got to get rid of a couple, Rob, first, haven't we? I mean, you don't want to be paying like any footballer wants to be playing, don't they? I mean, if you're not getting on with the club, what's the point in training with the reserves every week? You want to be playing football.
Well, I suppose we've got the 2 cup games, haven't we, in quick succession? So it gives him an opportunity to show the full squad, or give him an opportunity, doesn't it? And then maybe he'll see what he needs.
Say you said I need one more player. What sort of position are you looking for, Rob?
Me, you know what I thought at the weekend? I thought with Oyekunie, do you need someone more experienced? Because I don't know who replaces Oyekunie at the moment. So do you need like a 28, 29-year-old player across between maybe a Hayden and a El Miz, who has just got that more games under his belt? That's all.
No, but it does sort of make sense. But then it's like Oyekunie again. You're giving him 1 or 2 games, and then he's out of the team again, and that's the whole reason he went on loan last year, isn't it? So, it's another big season for him.
Yeah, it all comes down to game management, though, doesn't it? Experience, and I know we've got to give people experience, but right now, I suppose a bit like when we said about Nick. Would you rather have Nick, an unproven striker, or somebody who's got games under their belt? I think Richie would rather have someone with games under their belt who he knows, like, if I tell you that or tell you to drop back, then they'll drop back. It's that sort of thing. But that's just my thoughts. I might be completely wrong. Right, Ed, we'll wrap up for the week. If you are travelling to Brisbane Road on Tuesday or Wigan on Saturday, then we wish you well and safe journey. We'll be back again next weekend to report on those 2 games. But until then, up the O's.
Come on, the O's.